The massive research ship Eternal Light moved silently through space as it entered the Sol system. Its sleek silver hull gleamed under the distant sunlight. Inside the main control room, Chief Scientist Du Hyun looked at the blue planet on his screen with mild interest. "Another oxygen-nitrogen world," he said, his voice carrying a hint of boredom. "Third planet from the star. Seems to have achieved basic spaceflight, but no faster-than-light travel yet." His assistant, Young Me, nodded as she studied her own readings. "The civilization appears to be in its early development stage. They've only reached their moon so far." She paused, frowning at her screen. "But sir, these atmospheric readings are unusual." Do Hyun walked over to her station, his tall, slender frame moving gracefully in the ship's artificial low-pressure environment. All members of their species came from a world with very thin air. This made them naturally tall and lightweight, perfect for space travel but poorly suited for heavy gravity worlds. "What's strange about it?" he asked, leaning over to look at her data. "The pressure at sea level." Young Mi's eyes widened. "It's nearly 15 pounds per square inch, and the oxygen content is over 20%. Do Hyun almost laughed. "That can't be right. No intelligent life could evolve in such crushing conditions. Run the scan again." Young Mi ran the tests 3 more times. The results stayed the same. The planet they were approaching had an atmosphere that would feel like being deep underwater to their kind. The gravity, too, was much stronger than their homeworld. How do they even move in those conditions? Du Hyun wondered aloud. The poor creatures must barely be able to lift themselves. The ship's captain, Jin Ho, joined them at the monitoring station. "We should make contact soon. The humans have detected our presence. Their primitive radar systems picked us up when we passed their red planet." "Have they sent any messages?" Du Hyun asked. "Yes, simple radio signals in multiple languages. They're inviting us to approach their space station." Jin Ho brought up an image of the International Space Station on the main screen. "It's a basic orbital habitat, very primitive compared to our technology." Do Hyun studied the structure floating above the blue planet. At least they've managed to build something in space, despite their environmental handicaps. That shows some promise. The crew prepared for first contact. They chose their smallest shuttle for the meeting. Anything larger might frighten the humans. As they approached the space station, they received more detailed messages. The humans had prepared a welcoming committee. Commander Jae-yun stood at the station's docking port, waiting with her team. She had been chosen to represent humanity in this historic moment, and she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Next to her stood Dr. Kim Ta-won, Earth's leading atmospheric scientist, who would help evaluate their visitors' technological capabilities. The alien shuttle connected to their airlock with a soft thud. Jae-yun straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "Remember, everyone, we represent all of humanity today. Let's show them our best." The inner airlock door opened, and 3 tall, willowy figures stepped through. They moved carefully, as if afraid of breaking something. Their environmental suits were surprisingly thin, more like second skins than the bulky spacesuits humans needed. Do Hyun looked at the humans with carefully hidden surprise. Despite the crushing atmosphere they evolved in, they stood straight and moved with unexpected grace. He had expected them to be stocky, compressed creatures, but their forms were quite pleasant to look at. "Welcome to Earth's International Space Station," Jae-yun said clearly, offering a small bow. "I am Commander Jae-yun, and this is Dr. Kim Ta-won, our chief scientist." Do Hyun returned the bow, copying her gesture perfectly. "I am Chief Scientist Du Hyun of the Galactic Survey Vessel Eternal Light *. With me are Young Me, my research assistant, and Jin Ho, our ship's captain." The meeting went smoothly at first. Both sides exchanged basic information about their worlds and civilizations, but when the topic turned to environmental conditions, things became interesting. "You mean you actually live in these pressures all the time?" Young Me asked, unable to hide her amazement. "Even on your surface?" Dr. Kim nodded. Yes, our atmosphere is essential for life on Earth. Why? Is it very different from your world? Very different, Do-hyun explained. Our home atmosphere is about 1/3 of yours. Most spacefaring species we know evolved in similar conditions. Your pressure would crush most of them. Jae-yun and Dr. Kim exchanged glances. They hadn't considered that their normal environment might be extreme to other life forms. Perhaps you'd like to see some of our scientific data, Dr. Kim offered. We have extensive studies of Earth's atmosphere and its effects on life. Do-hyun agreed eagerly. As they reviewed the information, his initial dismissal of humanity began to shift. These creatures had not just survived, but thrived in conditions his people would consider lethal. Their bodies could handle incredible pressures, process high amounts of oxygen, and deal with crushing gravity. The implications slowly dawned on him. Humans weren't weak at all. They were powerful beings shaped by an extreme environment. Their primitive technology wasn't due to any lack of intelligence or capability, but rather because they had to overcome incredible physical challenges just to reach space. As the meeting wrapped up, Do-hyun found himself deeply troubled. His people had almost dismissed humanity as an unimportant species, but now he wondered, what other surprises did these high-pressure warriors have in store? Back on the Eternal Light asterisk, Do-hyun called an urgent meeting with his research team. We need to completely reevaluate our assessment of human capabilities, he announced. Their environment has given them advantages we never considered. They can endure conditions that would kill most species in our database. Young-me pulled up their comparative physics calculations. According to these numbers, their muscle density and bone structure must be incredibly robust to function in their gravity, and their oxygen processing capability. It's remarkable. Keep all of this quiet for now, Do-hyun ordered. We need more data before we report back to the council. But mark my words, we're dealing with something unprecedented here. As he looked out at the blue planet below, Do-hyun felt a mix of excitement and unease. His people had assumed that advanced civilizations could only arise in conditions similar to their own. Earth proved that assumption completely wrong. The humans weren't just surviving in their death world. They had mastered it. And Do-hyun had a feeling they were only beginning to understand what these creatures were truly capable of. In her quarters on the space station, Commander Jae-yun was having similar thoughts as she prepared her report for Earth's governments. The aliens' reaction to their atmosphere had been unexpected. She wondered what other differences they would discover as their species got to know each other. Computer, begin recording, she said. First contact report, day 1. We may have just discovered that Earth is more unique than we ever imagined. 3 days after first contact, Do-hyun sat in his private lab aboard the Eternal Light asterisk, staring at the test results with growing amazement. His team had been running detailed scans of Earth's atmosphere, and each new finding made their initial assumptions about humans seem more foolish. Young-me, he called to his assistant, who was analyzing data at a nearby station. Look at these oxygen absorption rates. Have you ever seen anything like this? Young-me moved to his screen, her eyes widening as she studied the numbers. These can't be right. According to these readings, humans process oxygen so efficiently that they can run for hours without stopping. Their cells must be incredibly good at using energy. And that's not all, Do-hyun said, bringing up more data. Their blood can carry more oxygen than any species we've encountered. It's why they can think so clearly in their heavy atmosphere. Their brains get a constant supply of high-energy fuel. The door to the lab opened, and Captain Jin-ho entered with a troubled look on his face. You need to see this, he said, activating the main view screen. We just received a transmission from Earth. They're broadcasting something called the Olympic Games. The screen showed humans running at high speeds, lifting heavy weights, and swooning through water. To the aliens' amazement, the athletes moved with incredible power and grace despite Earth's crushing gravity. How are they doing this? Young-me whispered. Those weights they're lifting, in their gravity, it should be impossible. Do-hyun watched a human swimmer cut through water with powerful strokes. Their muscle density must be extraordinary, and look at how easily they handle the water pressure. No wonder they weren't impressed by our environmental suits. On the International Space Station, Commander Jae-yun was having a similar conversation with Dr. Kim Ta-won. They had just received the aliens' preliminary report on Earth's atmosphere, and the implications were surprising. "So you're saying," Jae-yun said slowly, "that to most alien species, Earth would be considered a death world?" Dr. Kim nodded, looking through the data again. "According to these readings, our normal air pressure would feel like being deep underwater to them, and our oxygen levels would be toxic to their systems. We've evolved in conditions that would kill most spacefaring races. No wonder they keep looking at us strangely," Jae-yun mused. "They think we're living in an extreme environment. But to us, it's just normal." Their conversation was interrupted by a call from Earth. The face of Secretary Hong appeared on their screen. He was the head of Earth's newly formed Alien Relations Department. "Commander, Doctor," he greeted them. "How are our visitors handling the atmospheric analysis?" "They seem quite shocked," Jae-yun replied. "Apparently, our world is much more extreme than they expected." "Good," Secretary Hong said, "because we just received a request from their science team. They want to send observers to study human physical capabilities. They're particularly interested in our athletic training facilities." The next day, Do-hyun and Young-Mei visited Earth's surface for the first time. They wore special protective suits to handle the pressure, making them look bulky compared to the humans around them. Their destination was a major sports complex in Seoul. The facility's director, Coach Min-ho, met them at the entrance. He was a sturdy man with bright eyes and an energetic manner that fascinated the aliens. Despite Earth's gravity, he moved with an ease that seemed almost impossible to them. "Welcome to our training center," Min-ho said warmly. "We've prepared demonstrations of various human athletic activities. Would you like to start with something basic, like our running track?" The aliens watched in amazement as athletes sprinted around the track. Their instruments showed the incredible forces the runners were generating with each step. The power-to-weight ratio was far beyond anything their species could achieve. "And this is just normal for humans?" Young-Mei asked, recording everything with her scanner. "These are top athletes," Min-ho explained. "But yes, most healthy humans can run. Our bodies evolved to be persistent hunters. We can run for hours if we need to." The demonstrations continued throughout the day. They watched gymnasts defy gravity, weightlifters handle massive loads, and swimmers power through water with ease. Each activity showed another aspect of human physical capability that seemed impossible to the alien observers. Back in his lab that evening, Do-hyun compiled his findings with shaking hands. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't just surviving in their high-pressure world. They had developed abilities that made them potentially one of the most physically capable species in known space. "We need to update our classification of Earth immediately," he told his team. "This isn't a primitive world. It's an extreme environment that created extremely capable beings. Their technology might be less advanced than ours, but their physical abilities, they're extraordinary." Young-Mei was processing the athletic data they'd collected. "Sir, look at these numbers. Their bone density, muscle strength, endurance. In their gravity, a trained human athlete could overpower most species we know, even ones with more advanced evolution. And that's just their physical capabilities," Jin-ho added. "Their respiratory system's efficiency, their endurance, their ability to heal from injuries. They're built for survival in ways we never imagined." Meanwhile, on Earth, Coach Min-ho was having dinner with Dr. Kim and Commander Jae-yun. They were discussing the aliens' reactions to the day's demonstrations. "Did you see their faces when Jun-seo did his gymnastics routine?" Min-ho laughed. "I thought their eyes would pop out of their suits." "They were equally amazed by the swimmers," Dr. Kim added. "Apparently, most species can't handle the pressure of being underwater at all." The fact that we can dive and swim seems incredible to them. Jai-yun looked thoughtful. We've always thought we needed to catch up to alien civilizations technologically. But maybe we have advantages we never realized. Our normal is their impossible. As night fell over Earth, Do-hyun stood at a viewing window on his ship, watching the blue planet spin below. His whole understanding of civilization development had been turned upside down. His people had assumed that advanced societies would evolve in gentle environments like their own, where minds could develop without physical challenges. But Earth showed another path. Its harsh conditions hadn't held humanity back. They had made humans stronger. Each challenge they overcame made them more capable, more resilient. "We didn't find a primitive civilization," he wrote in his report. "We found warriors forged by their world. And I suspect we've only begun to understand what they're truly capable of." A week after the athletic demonstrations, Earth's night sky lit up with the arrival of 5 massive ships. They were different from the Eternal Light Asterisk. Darker, more threatening, with sharp angles that seemed designed to intimidate. Do-hyun recognized them immediately as military vessels from his homeworld. In the Eternal Lights Command Center, Captain Jin-ho received the transmission from the lead ship. "This is Fleet Commander Sung-min. We're here to establish proper authority over this sector." Do-hyun felt his heart sink. Sung-min had always been ambitious and aggressive, seeking any chance to expand their empire's influence. He must have intercepted their early reports about finding a primitive world. "Commander Sung-min," Jin-ho replied carefully, "we're still conducting our scientific survey. The situation here is more complex than—" "Your survey is over," Sung-min cut him off. "We've seen enough. These humans barely have space travel. They need our guidance and control. For their own good, of course." On the International Space Station, Commander Jai-yun watched the new ships with growing concern. The alien vessels had taken up attack positions around Earth's orbit, ignoring all attempts at communication. "They're charging weapons," her tactical officer reported. "But something strange. Their energy readings are much lower than we expected for ships that size." Dr. Kim studied the sensor data. "They're keeping their systems at minimum power. They must be trying to operate in our atmospheric pressure range." Secretary Hong's face appeared on their main screen. "Commander, we've received their demands. They want Earth to surrender and accept their protection. They're threatening to demonstrate their power if we refuse." Jai-yun's expression hardened. "Tell them we reject their demands, and inform all defense forces to be ready." In his ship, Sung-min smiled as he received Earth's response. "As expected, prepare the demonstration. Target their largest military base. Minimal force. We don't want to damage our new territory too much." The alien ships descended into Earth's atmosphere. Warning alarms blared across their bridges as the pressure increased, but Sung-min ignored them. "Just a little discomfort," he assured his nervous crew. "These primitives can't possibly resist us." Do-hyun watched in horror from the Eternal Light Asterisk. "Sung-min, stop. You don't understand what you're dealing with." But it was too late. The alien ships had already started their attack run on a military base in the Pacific. Their weapons fired, sending energy bolts toward the facility below. What happened next stunned everyone watching. The base's defense systems activated instantly. Missiles launched from hidden silos, moving with unexpected speed in Earth's dense atmosphere. The alien ships, struggling with the pressure, couldn't maneuver fast enough to evade. "Impossible," Sung-min shouted as warnings flashed across his screen. "Their primitive weapons shouldn't be able to track us." But the humans had another advantage the aliens hadn't considered. Years of operating in Earth's atmosphere had taught them to use air resistance to their advantage. Their missiles curved and adjusted, using the dense air to make sharper turns than should have been possible. 3 of Sung-min's ships took direct hits. Their shields, already strained by atmospheric pressure, failed instantly. They retreated to higher orbit, trailing smoke and debris. "Full attack," Sung-min ordered, his voice shaking with rage. "Show them our true power." But as his remaining ships prepared to fire, something new appeared on their sensors. From bases around the planet, strange craft were rising to meet them. They were Earth's newest fighters, designed to operate in the atmosphere they had evolved in. Human pilots, their bodies naturally adapted to high pressure and gravity, flew their machines with incredible skill. They executed maneuvers that would have killed any of Sung Min's people, their planes turning and rolling in ways his ships couldn't match. In the Eternal Lights lab, young Mai watched the battle with growing amazement. "Their pilots are pulling forces that would crush our bones," she reported. "The pressure should be disabling them, but they're operating at peak efficiency." Do Hyun grabbed the communication controls. "Sung Min, listen to me. You're fighting them in their natural environment. An environment that would kill our people. Retreat before." A massive explosion cut him off. One of Sung Min's ships had tried to dive too deep into the atmosphere, pushing its systems too hard. The pressure had ruptured its power core. The other ships scattered, finally realizing the danger they were in. Commander Jae-yun's voice came over all channels, calm and clear. "This is Earth Defense Command. Your attack has failed. Withdraw immediately, or we will demonstrate more of our capabilities." In his damaged flagship, Sung Min stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was crippled, and the other half was reporting critical system failures from operating in Earth's atmosphere. The humans hadn't just survived their attack. They had turned their harsh environment into a weapon. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice hollow. "Full retreat to safe orbit." As the alien ships withdrew, celebrations broke out across Earth. But in the Eternal Lights lab, Do Hyun was already preparing an urgent report to the Galactic Council. "We nearly made a terrible mistake," he wrote. "We assumed that because humans evolved in what we consider extreme conditions, they would be weak and primitive. Instead, those conditions have made them stronger than we ever imagined. Their world isn't a death trap. It's a forge that has created one of the most physically capable species we've ever encountered." Later that day, Commander Jae-yun met with Do Hyun on the space station. Both of them knew that everything had changed. "I'm sorry for my people's actions," Do Hyun said quietly. "We were arrogant. We thought our way of life was the only path to advancement." Jae-yun nodded. "Many of us thought we were behind other civilizations because we hadn't achieved faster than light travel yet. We didn't realize that just surviving on Earth made us special." "More than special," Do Hyun corrected. "You're remarkable. While we were evolving in gentle environments, your world was challenging you, strengthening you. Every breath you take would kill most species we know. Every step you take shows mastery over forces that we struggle against." As they looked down at Earth together, both knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven itself not just capable of surviving in their extreme world, but of thriving in it, and now the galaxy would have to adjust to this new reality. 1 month after the failed invasion attempt, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. Representatives from hundreds of worlds had gathered to discuss the Earth situation. At the center of the room stood Do Hyun, preparing to present his final report on humanity. The council leader, a tall figure named Ho-jun, called for silence. "We are here to determine Earth's status in the galactic community. Chief Scientist Do Hyun, you may begin." Do Hyun stepped forward, his heart beating quickly. Behind him, Commander Jae-yun and Dr. Kim Ta-won waited in their protective suits, representing Earth. The room's low pressure meant they needed protection, just as Do Hyun had needed it on their world. "Honored Council," Do Hyun began, "1 month ago, we made a serious mistake. We looked at Earth and saw a primitive world because they hadn't achieved faster than light travel. We were wrong." He activated the main display, showing Earth's atmospheric readings. "This is what humans call normal. To most of us, these conditions would be fatal. The pressure alone would crush us. The oxygen levels would poison us. The gravity would break our bones." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Many representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. But humans don't just survive in these conditions, Du-hyun continued. They thrive. Their bodies are marvels of evolution. They can run for hours. They can lift many times their body weight. They can think clearly under pressures that would knock most of us unconscious. He played videos from the Olympic demonstrations. The council members watched in amazement as humans performed physical feats that seemed impossible. When Commander Sung-min attacked Earth, he thought he was facing a weak, primitive species. Instead, he found warriors who had mastered their extreme environment. Their weapons and vehicles were perfectly adapted to conditions that crippled our most advanced ships. In the audience, Sung-min sat in disgrace, his recent demotion still fresh. He avoided looking at the human representatives. But humanity's true strength isn't just physical, Du-hyun said. Living in such challenging conditions has made them incredibly adaptable and innovative. They don't give up when faced with difficult problems. They find solutions. Dr. Kim stepped forward, carrying a small device. This is an example, Du-hyun explained. After learning about our atmosphere problems, Earth's scientists created this portable pressure adapter in just 2 weeks. It lets them visit our worlds while letting us visit theirs safely. The council leader leaned forward with interest. Are you suggesting we should officially recognize Earth as an advanced civilization? I'm suggesting more than that, Du-hyun replied. I recommend we classify Earth as a Class A high-pressure evolution world. Their unique capabilities make them valuable allies, not subjects to be conquered. The chamber erupted in discussion. Many council members looked worried. A Class A rating would give Earth significant power in galactic politics. Commander Jae-yun raised her hand to speak. When the council leader nodded, she stepped forward. We don't want to fight, she said clearly. We want to trade, to share knowledge, to learn from each other. Yes, we're physically stronger than most species here, but we'd rather use that strength to help than to harm. To demonstrate her point, she lifted a piece of equipment that 3 council assistants had been struggling with. Then, with great care, she used her fine motor control to repair its delicate internal parts, showing that humans could be gentle despite their strength. Dr. Kim spoke next. We've already started adapting our medical knowledge to help other species. Our understanding of high-pressure environments has led to breakthroughs in treating pressure-related illnesses. We want to share these discoveries. The council leader called for a vote. The chamber grew quiet as members registered their decisions. After a few tense minutes, the results appeared on the main screen. The council has decided, Hejun announced. Earth is hereby recognized as a Class A civilization. Furthermore, we are establishing a new category, Extreme Environment Excellence. Earth will be its first member. The human representatives tried to contain their excitement, knowing their every move was being watched. But Du-hyun could see the joy in their eyes. The next few hours were filled with treaty signings and diplomatic agreements. Earth would share its environmental adaptation technologies. In return, they would receive faster-than-light travel technology and membership in galactic trade routes. As the ceremony ended, Du-hyun found himself alone with Jae-yun and Dr. Kim in a quiet corner of the chamber. What happens now? Dr. Kim asked. Now, Du-hyun smiled. We learn from each other. Your world may be extreme to us, but that's exactly why you're so valuable. You can go places we can't, do things we can't. Together, we can explore parts of the galaxy that neither of us could reach alone. Jae-yun looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's giant window. When we were young, we dreamed of reaching the stars. We never imagined the stars would be so impressed by us. 1 year later, the first joint human-alien research station opened in Earth's orbit. Its unique design featured both high-pressure and low-pressure sections, allowing both species to work comfortably. Du-hyun served as its chief scientist, working closely with Earth's teams. The station's main project was studying how Earth's extreme conditions had produced such remarkable life forms. But it did much more than that. It stood as a symbol of how different species could work together, each bringing their own strengths to solve common problems. In his private log, Du Hyun made a final entry about his Earth experiences. We thought we were discovering a primitive world. Instead, we found something much more valuable. A reminder that strength comes in many forms. Humans may have evolved in what we consider harsh conditions, but those conditions created something extraordinary. They reminded us that there's no single path to greatness. Sometimes, the most challenging environments produce the most remarkable results. On Earth, children now learned about both human and alien history in school. They grew up knowing that their normal was someone else's extreme, and that this was something to be proud of. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not by becoming like everyone else, but by embracing what made them unique. And in the great galactic community, a new saying spread among spacefaring species, as strong as a human. It wasn't an insult, but a compliment of the highest order.